What's up, everyone? It's Brett, and I've got my friend Mzati here with me, a friend and former student of mine, and he has quite the story. He comes all the way from Malawi, Africa. You're in Indiana right now,
Yep.
but you're
Huntington,
from,
Indiana.
yeah, but you're from Malawi.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're chatting with Mzati about some of his experiences, and what are you? You're 20? 19?
I'm 18.
Oh, you're 18. Oh, okay. Oh wow. So yeah, for your age, you've gone through quite a bit, and yeah. So I'm excited to get into that. So, anyways, Mizaki, tell me about yourself, where you grew up, and what you're doing. Like, what are you doing in America?
Well, I'm Mzati Banda, as you just said, of course. I'm 18. I grew up in urban Malawi, urban, in, quotations. Yeah, I grew up there like most of my life. I'm in America studying criminal justice.
Right, but how'd you get from point A to point B? Like most Malawians don't end up in America studying criminal justice. So why don't you explain your situation a little bit better?
Let's see. I was pretty blessed,
Hmm.
to grow up in a house that like you've been to Malawi. Many houses are like steeped in poverty, families that can't pay for good education. Government education's okay, but it's not amazing. Like won't get you too far. And yeah,
You
I was
just grew up
blessed.
into a pretty nice. You're born into a nice house in Malawi, like
Yeah,
a wealthier family, you could say.
that's okay. You can come in here. I'm on an interview right now because I'm famous, low key.
Yeah, just 2 minutes into the interview, have someone walk in. So yeah, Mizaki, you're at school right now, so you might have people walking in to your
Yeah,
to
it's a
the room that you're.
study
Yeah,
room, First
no
time I've been
problem.
in here actually. Like I never sit in here.
Yeah. All right. So you grew up in a nice house, but what was that like being in a wealthy house in a impoverished country?
I think it's weird, like being a Malawian who grew up in an urban environment, you almost like feel so detached from rural culture in a way. Like
Hmm.
you almost never see it unless you have to. Like it's weird because like you're in the country too. You think like it's something you always interact with, but it really isn't. In a way, like you're
Yeah.
almost like blinded to what other poorer Malawians or fellow countrymen are going through.
Hmm. Yeah. So do you think that yeah, I mean, that detachment is something that people here experience like on a possibly even more detached because it's like if you want to experience poverty, you have to go like outside the country, like really bad poverty. But for you, it's like it's not right next door, but it's close enough. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, like, you still had like relatives and stuff that lived in rural villages, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you see them very much? I mean,
Nah, I
they're there
mean,
right now. I think we might be having technical difficulties
but like,
with Mizati. Oh, okay, you're back. We lost you for a second.
yeah, like usually saw them for like maybe 3 times a year. They
So
usually
would you go
came,
into a village or would they come to you?
they would come to us. It was never like, rarely was it the other way around,
Yeah.
especially as I grew older.
Hmm. And what was, I mean, these are people, they're living on like $1 a day or whatever, they have to like walk to get their clean water from a well and stuff like that for the most part, right?
It's not urban living at all. Like, electricity is hard to acquire. Water's, you have to go get it from like a communal source.
Yeah.
And like,
So did you feel bad or did you feel like, was that awkward having those family members around you?
I would say it was awkward, yeah. Because you definitely like,
And they
Malawi
kind
is
of
like a
expect
split.
money or something. They expect you to help them out to some extent. Hmm. The internet is not optimal right now.
Is it your Wi-Fi or my Wi-Fi?
Uh, Good question. I don't know. Anyways, you're yeah. Okay, so you're here now. All right. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I think in many ways they don't it's just the way the family works in a
Hmm.
sense. I wouldn't say they like came to the house and were like, "Hey, where's my money?" But African families are so interconnected, so intertwined that we just help each other because we are family.
Yeah. So, but how did you guys draw the line between how much you should help and how much you should like save up and keep for yourself and stuff?
More of a because sometimes we'd have a family member like an aunt or a cousin house. That way they could get paid and then get an education. Just a handout of money. That way, because they live far away from us, you don't know what they're doing with the money. You don't know their lifestyle. Usually, it was like they come through,
Hmm.
they get a job at the house, maybe they clean or cook their own education, or maybe their education for their kids.
Was it your parents that were able to be successful and like move into the city and have a better life?
On my mom's side, it was my grandparents. They were they lived a fairly good life, and then they had her.
Hmm.
And on my dad's side, I don't know too much about my dad's history,
Yeah.
because he left our family, but I know he was a taxi driver at one point, so he wasn't really making the big bucks.
Hmm. Yeah. So interesting. So it was your mom's side that kind of was the wealthier one.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I mean, I'm curious what you think about just Malawian poverty in general, especially now that you're here in America.
I
I
mean,
mean, like, what is your life? I mean, how do you think about America right now? This is like first time here,
America's
right? Yeah.
yeah, America's pretty posh, I like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I walk into rooms and like this room I'm in right now, like literally throughout the night it's always lit. I think it has like an automatic switch. But like most of the rooms in this campus are always lit, and I know that would never happen back home because you're thinking about electricity. In fact, we don't even. I hear in Malawi, power's been out for like 48 hours or so
Hmm.
during the week or so. Like it goes out 10 hours a day. Like those
Yeah.
are things here that are taken for granted. Or we'll be eating at the DC, and the food sucks here. Or maybe
Right.
it's just the college food. It's terrible.
Well, I mean, it's yeah, it's got to be better than certain things you had in Malawi.
Oh, I don't
Not
know.
really. Dang it, Mzati. All right.
Especially there. But like I'll be eating and I don't like the food, so I can throw it away. But I know if I was in Malawi, someone else would kill for that meal,
Right.
like
Yeah.
because opportunities are so low.
So, do you think like what's your plan? Are you staying in America, you think?
I'd like to,
Hmm.
but home is home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Malawi's where I'm from. I wouldn't mind going back.
So what would you do if you went back?
Well, you know about I'm assuming you're gonna ask me about the attack.
Yeah, I will. I would
So,
definitely. Do you want to talk about that now?
I mean, I'm already getting there, so I don't
Go for
wanna.
it. Yeah.
So when I was attacked, I had to go to the courts to do the case or whatever. And it was the first time I'd ever seen like a Malawian court like face to face. And it was terrible. Like I sat through maybe 10 cases and a lot of people being tried on like mere suspicion that they stole something. It was literally a class war because it was usually a rich guy just saying like, "Oh, my iPad or something went missing." And it's a
Hmm.
poor dude who's obviously in the position where he should be stealing, you know what I mean, should be because
Yeah.
he's poor. And he doesn't have a lawyer, he doesn't have funds or any way to protect himself. and he just goes to jail. And when I saw that, I was like, this isn't a justice system. It's just it's he said, she said. And
So
usually
what's the motivation of the rich guy to prosecute the poor guy? Just so that he can say, just so some he feels better about his iPad being stolen?
that's that's what I don't understand either. I mean, Malawi does have a huge class differential problem in
Yeah.
so many ways, but I really don't know what his motivation is. Maybe he just wants some sort of justification or some sort of, I don't know, like he feels he's been wrong, so someone has to get the blame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that, I was like, this has to change somehow.
Hmm. So you kind of feel bad for these guys who are getting prosecuted and going to jail for without like a fair trial, without due process.
Yeah, like nobody to defend them, no money to get someone to defend them.
Yeah. Now okay, so you were in a situation where you had the opportunity to prosecute someone. So why don't you tell that story? I mean, the name of this live stream is Mzati on being attacked by robbers with machetes. So got straight into it,
Yeah, I like that. No
straight to the
mincing words.
chase.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I was attacked by two guys with machetes. I was 14 at the time. It was ninth grade.
Yeah, and what was the situation in the country at the time? Because there was like unrest in the country in general.
Yeah, there was a whole petrol crisis thing. And I think at the time, was Bingo a president? I think so.
Oh, that's a good question.
Or was it Joyce Banda? Dang, but at the time, the economy wasn't that good. I think we were just about to start switching bills because everything was devaluing. So, the poor guys probably feel it. Maybe not as much as the middle class, but you know what I mean.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm walking home from school. It's dark, which wasn't a smart idea, anyways, not in any time of Malawian history.
Yeah, why were
And
you walking home from school at that time?
I was selling jerseys to make extra
Oh
cash.
yeah. For everyone watching, Mzati used to sell jerseys, and you probably sold like I don't know 5 to me. You somehow acquired them very cheap, and then you marked them up a little bit, and you sold them to teachers and other Azungus
Yeah,
and whoever would buy them, basically.
we were
And so
making
making
that
good
was
money.
200% profit on each shirt. Actually, we used
Yeah,
to sell them
I remember you
like
bought an Xbox. I was like, when you bought the Xbox or whatever it was that you
3,000.
bought, I was like, okay. So I don't know. He must be doing really well with his little side business.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I got addicted to the money and the thrill of making a sale. And I
Yeah,
made some sales that night too. And I don't know, I
gotcha.
really
So you
needed to
were
make
staying
some,
late because you wanted to make a few extra bucks selling jerseys to
yeah,
people, and you ended up getting caught after dark, and so you were walking home at night.
yeah. And then two guys with machetes, one of them had been following me the whole time. And then the other
Yeah,
guy
but like
literally
walk us through it
popped
from your
out of the
perspective because
darkness.
you didn't know there were two guys at first. You were just walking innocently home, and like you saw a guy on a cell phone or something.
Yeah, I saw a guy on a cell phone walking on the other side of the road. I didn't pay any mind to it because I was like, I have to get home to my grandmother's Bible study.
Yeah,
So, you never like I had always thought it was gonna happen, but I didn't think it would happen at that time, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
or to me.
Hmm. So you're walking and you feel something.
Yeah, he grabs my shoulder and then just starts like bashing at the top of my head and like screaming in Chichewa, like, yo, give me your stuff, as he's bashing my head, which isn't like a good way to ask for anything.
Yeah.
And we're like,
No kidding.
it literally felt like I was spinning and screaming at the same time. Then
Hmm.
it took like 15 meters he's doing this. Like we moved like 15 meters from like the corner of the road to like the center.
Are you
And
guys wrestling back and forth, or is like what are you doing? I can't
yeah,
imagine. I can't put myself in that situation.
when he was behind me, I wasn't wrestling at all. And then I tried a few moves. Not a smart idea when you're being robbed by a violent dude.
Right, with a machete.
Yeah, I tried to like kick him and stuff. I kicked the machete out of his hands, but by that time, like he had already
You
had
had been
his,
hit. Yeah.
yeah, and his second friend had already like come over to help him out.
Hmm. Where were you hit?
Head right here, back of the head, and the shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, I would show my scars, but I don't know
Maybe
how
maybe for another
long.
time. Yeah. But yeah, so okay, so you're hit and you're bleeding, and do they get your stuff?
Yeah, they took everything. They took my bag. Well, I wasn't planning on giving them my bag, but they took it anyways because, coercive force. And they took my bags, and I threw my phone to the ground, hoping it would break. That way, they would
Yeah.
take a broken phone, like, haha, screw you.
That's interesting that you had that presence of mind to ruin
Yeah,
something like the either way thing for you. It's interesting
uh,
the things that you're gonna think about when you're in a situation like that.
yeah. I got up. It felt pretty painless. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna like the adrenaline going through me. I literally didn't feel like I was hurt, so I got up and I ran. I knew I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna die, so I
You
ran
knew at
to
that moment.
yeah. Like I didn't think I was like I'm alive.
Hmm.
I've got more life to live.
Yeah. And you were you right outside your house?
Yep. So it
So
was
where
a
did you
quick.
go from there?
I went to the back of the house and actually tried to clean my wounds up because
Mhm.
I didn't want to seem like a sucker who had been jumped by two guys. So
Yes, you gotta be kidding me.
I had a planned narrative that I was gonna say that two guys approached me and threatened me with machetes, and I gave them my stuff.
Yeah.
But upon seeing how much blood was coming out, I was like,
You were gonna tell your mom
my
who wiped your
grandparents.
butt when you were a kid that you basically were like, "Hey, sorry, sir, here's my backpack," and nothing else happened.
Yeah, because I didn't want to seem like a straight sucker. I mean, I was a sucker.
Yeah,
I'm
I
walking in the
guess so. I feel
dark.
like that was like I feel like you were hit in the head with a machete and you were walking, so you're like a pretty tough guy
Yeah,
by
and
those standards.
I mean, I didn't want to come off as an idiot. I knew what Malawi was like, and I'm still walking
Uh-huh.
in the dark. I was
Okay.
asking to be robbed.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
go,
People, I'm sure like the people that you met with were like, why were you, the first question is like, why were you walking home at night?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't my best moment, but
No. So you're bleeding from the head and,
I've got a I've got a gash in my head about this wide
yeah.
running through here. And they go inside, and then as usual Africans like to over exaggerate, so the women come out screaming. Some of them haven't even seen me, and then they get me into a car and we go to a hospital owned by Muslims that is the only 24-hour hospital in like a 3 mile radius, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we drive there and they stitch me up with fish hooks, and then yeah.
Was that painful? Like at what point did you start feeling pain?
Definitely when I was on, I don't know what medication I was on, but I was just sitting in the bed and like everything hurt. Like
Hmm.
30 to 45 minutes later, everything just starts to hurt. I've got a massive headache.
Yeah.
And I struggled to sleep that first night too because it was, I've got friends who are watching me right now. Hey, you can come in, guys.
That's
Okay,
fine.
you can't come in too much. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, well, you're in the hospital for how long?
I was in there for, I think, 2 weeks because I was at home being hospitalized for like 2 weeks, and then I ended up getting malaria plus four or something. First
Yeah,
time
in the
ever with
hospital.
malaria. Yeah,
So for
because
those watching, malaria +4 is the worst type of malaria you can get. It's always on a scale of 1 to 4, and 4 is the worst.
yeah, I've got a pretty big fan base right now.
You got online and in person, the live studio audience.
Yep, get a laugh track going or
Do you
something.
want to show them? Do you want to twist the laptop so everyone can see? What's
Um,
up, guys?
you can wave, guys.
Yeah. All right. So what's next? So how? So what was the hospital visit like? You had people come to visit
Uh,
you. Did you have anyone on this live stream come visit you, bring you presents?
Nope. And everybody in
I
Malawi.
brought you presents. I did that.
Oh yeah, yeah, you
You
did.
gotta be
You
kidding
did.
me.
I think you brought me a teddy bear.
I think I did
I think it was
with a
Valentine's.
heart.
It was, yeah, it was Valentine's themed. It was a Valentine's themed
Yeah,
teddy bear.
I thought you would think that's funny.
Yeah, at least you didn't bring juice. Everyone else brought juice.
I try to be creative and different.
Yeah, with a Valentine's themed teddy bear.
Yeah. All right. So cool. Well, let me ask you a couple questions about that. Your friends who are there, are um, they all go to your college?
Yeah, they all do.
What's your
They
college
suffer
like?
with me.
They're all going through
I don't
finals
know.
too.
Yeah, we're all going through finals. I
Hmm.
don't know if the president's watching, but if she is, I love Huntington University.
Yeah, you have to say that, huh?
I signed the community life agreement. I don't know how much I could say. It's a Christian school.
Hmm.
You know, you get Christian school type things like chapels, Christian girls who are looking for marriage. Um,
Yeah, just
you get the
normal Christian
typical,
school stuff. Yeah, awkward. Yeah,
yeah, that
awkwardness.
typical like mainstream type Christianity,
Hmm.
really cushy and soft and like
Yeah.
it's nice and yeah.
Was this okay? So I want to go back to the attack. Was the event, did it impact your faith at all?
I mean, yeah, I was definitely in a terrible place at the time. I mean, all I cared about was life. Are we still on? Like you
Yeah, we're
like
still doing
disappear. Like
this. What do you think?
you come and go.
Oh yeah,
Like
I think the internet's not super great. I think it might be on your side.
yeah,
So
my resonance sucks.
that yeah, I kind of assumed that would happen. That's okay. We got the story, and I have a few other questions, but we'll probably wrap up pretty quick. But I am curious what your like what it feels like, is you were in Malawi going to like an American school in Malawi, and now you're at an American school in America, and I'm wondering what those differences are like.
Definitely more Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, they just laughed because I just paused, and I guess it's funny with the juxtaposition of the camera or whatever. But I don't know. It feels different, but it really doesn't. Like this is like small town America. Like
Yeah.
Lilongwe was a bigger city than this place is. But you definitely like see more privilege than you did back home.
Hmm.
Like a lot of kids here don't take school seriously just because I don't know, daddy's paying for it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that? You're like, this is like a huge thing for you, for anyone from Malawi, and then you see
Yeah.
people who are not taking it seriously. How does that make you? What do you think about that?
I mean, it pisses me off. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Like, do you think about all
I
the people
mean,
back in Malawi who are like in villages and they would like kill to be in your position or in their position?
I was in Malawi fairly well off, and I would have killed to be here. So I can imagine like
Yeah.
a whole nation just who would love this experience, and you've got like I don't know a girl named Becky who doesn't give a crap
Right. Is Becky watching?
paying for. I don't know any Becky, so
Okay. Let me ask you one more question. Uh, one of the things I know is like even talking to you right now, Malawians, and I was talking to a friend about this earlier. Malawians like deal with tragedy and death and things like that. They just deal with hard circumstances so much better than Americans. Like Americans are not used to it. I'm curious what your if you have noticed that yourself. Like, are people pretty protected and sensitive where you are at your college compared to back home? Like kind of
yeah,
soft, you know what I mean?
in certain ways, Americans are odd. Some of them are really soft about certain things where I'd be like, "Why are you stressing? That's not
Like
even a
what?
problem." Like, I don't know, their iPhone breaking
Hmm.
or their phone bill not being paid. Like,
Hmm.
things where like, sure that matters, but back home I wouldn't cry about it. I don't even cry about it here because one, we're always on Wi-Fi, so what do you need a phone bill for? But
Yeah.
like in other ways, like where Malawians see, I don't know, death and tragedy as like really bad, Americans like put like weird like political spins on it to where it's not death and tragedy anymore. Like if a
Give me an
shooting
example.
happens,
Yeah.
like the shooting that happened in Texas, like in Malawi, I know for a fact that's at least a day of mourning, or you go into the city the next day and the atmosphere is like super different.
Yeah.
But here it's an argument of whether gun rights or you know should be strengthened or weakened, which is like that's crazy to think because someone just died. Like, don't you think people should mourn? Like,
Yeah.
I know back home we would mourn for at least and of course like sense of privilege. I think we've definitely gotten a lot of crap, but I think that just like makes it easier to like roll with life's punches.
Hmm. I'm curious what you think about the difference between the government in Malawi and the government in America.
Uh, whew. Definitely government in Malawi is definitely more corrupt, considerably.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I can't speak much on the American government. I'm not American. I don't know how many Americans are watching this, but
Hmm.
government here is
I guess
definitely
like what I'm asking, one of the things I'm trying to get at is like in Malawi, the power will go out for 48 hours at a time, and here, like the building you're in, the lights are just always on, and that's
yeah.
the case all across America. And you don't have to worry about the power going out, and you don't have to worry about your water not being clean or anything like that. Like the government, one of the things I'm getting at is like the government basically just works here, and in other places it really is broken.
Here the government's definitely more efficient, like efficient. It's a bit more automatic. The American election because the American government runs itself.
Yeah.
And in a certain way it does. Like your president doesn't have like all the power, which means America can potentially have a bad president and still survive. While back home in Malawi, the president basically is close to a dictator in so many ways. He has so much power that if
Hmm.
he's bad, the whole country will suffer. Like right now, where it's 48 hours of no power and water's dirty and things are going wrong. So where yours is more of a system, ours is more of an individual.
Right. Yeah. I would assume you think that it's better to have the system than the individual.
Yeah, way better to have the system than the individual.
Yeah. Do you find it frustrating when you see people complaining about the government in the U.S.?
Yeah, in a way I do, because I mean, life's good here. Like, like, how much
Yeah,
do
I
you
don't know.
need?
It's like so
Like,
obvious if you're
like
familiar with the rest of the world.
to me, like, I don't know, Americans need to like open their eyes, bro. There's people in Africa like
Hmm.
suffering. You got people in Asia suffering. Like, if you go to those countries and come back here and complain about, I don't know, a tax bill that maybe hikes up your taxes or doesn't,
Hmm.
or
Yeah, a
something.
few percentage increases here and
Yeah,
there.
like like I hear a point 0.5 increase, and sometimes someone will be like, "Well, that's a lot of money." I'm like, maybe it is, but if you come back home,
Yeah.
you should come
It's,
home with me, and like you'll find things to complain about in Malawi. But here it's like, what are you really complaining about? Like, what really is
mhm.
the problem?
Yeah. I mean,
Like, I,
I think of it like this. You know how if like allergies are this like in the third world, like in Malawi, people in rural villages, they're not like allergic to dogs. Like no one has allergies in these villages because
like
they have
you,
like real. What's that?
aren't you allergic to dogs?
I am, yeah, but I'm saying in like a rural village in Malawi.
Yeah,
Because like they have real diseases to worry about, like malaria and uh, bilharzia and things like that. So what happens with like first world people is they develop allergies where the body attacks itself because it gets so bored, like the immune system gets so bored that it doesn't know what else to do, so it just attacks itself. So I think like in these first world countries, it's a similar thing where like the people living in the country, they're so bored, they have so little to worry about, so they just start like attacking themselves. They just like they're so bored that they come up with like things to complain about, even though there's not much there to begin with.
That is that works. That analogy is it's brilliant actually. Like
Yeah,
sometimes I'll hear people complain, you know, I'm starting to get it too. I'll be complaining about something and I'm like, damn, I sound like an idiot. Like the same thing. I would never complain about it in Malawi because I don't know. We've got real problems.
yeah,
Like you gotta get food on the table. And you know, I was well off, but Malawi's like the middle class is there and you could be poor at any minute. Like
yeah,
so every day you're literally fighting for that next meal or paying for school
yeah.
fees or something.
I also use an analogy I came up with last night was like the like a tightrope. Like imagine there's two people walking on a tightrope, and the person walking over here has like 15 safety nets, and if in a ladder the whole way down. So let's say you fall off and you fall into one safety net, and then you fall into the next one, and then the next one. You can still climb up the ladder. Mzati is gone. I think his internet cut out, but so I'll finish up the analogy for people watching. So you have the safety net, and you can fall through a few safety nets, but you can still climb up and get back to the tightrope. Whereas if you're in a place like Malawi, you could fall off the tightrope and basically there's no safety net, there's nothing, you just fall to the ground, there's no ladder. And I think that's kind of what Mizagi was alluding to a second ago. So anyways, thank you everyone for watching. I think I saw that a few people were asking how Mizadi got to America and also what he wants to do after college. And I think those things were addressed at the beginning of the live stream. If you want to go back and watch, as soon as I turn it off, you can refresh this and watch the whole thing. And I apologize for the quality, but Mizadi was kind enough to scope out a room at his college, and he's in the middle of finals. So I wanted to try and do this, and I think we got a good bit out of it. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you actually tomorrow. I've got a live stream tomorrow at 9:30, and it's going to be really good. So check that out. Talk to you guys later. Bye.